plebiscite.
One of the attractions of a free vote is that it would have meant the matter would be resolved in this Parliament.
I can't see the Parliament for a long time deciding to vote for a change.
How the times have changed. Both leaders used to prosecute different views to the ones they hold now on how same-sex marriage should be legalised.
But in terms of a plebiscite, I would rather that the people of Australia could make their view clear on this than leaving this issue to 150 people.
The reason I haven't advocated a plebiscite after the next election is that it will mean that this issue is a live issue all the way up to the next election, and indeed at the next election, and if we are returned to office, it will be a very live issue in the lead up to the plebiscite itself.
That view about a protracted debate offered in August last year is proving to be accurate. The government's announced a February 11 date for the vote and allocated public funding for the yes and no campaigns, but there's still no parliamentary agreement for it. The Shadow Attorney-General this morning addressed an audience of Christian groups in Melbourne on the case to legalise same-sex marriage and why it's inevitable.
The reason that we do not yet have marriage equality in Australia is not because our society is not ready for it. It is because of politicians, and I do not absolve my own party in this.
I've just returned from Spain and the United States, which have now legislated same-sex marriage. In Spain, they've had it for a long time. And guess what? No one's talking about it. It's just all over. I'm one of those Australians who just wish it could be put to bed.
Labor has hardened its language in recent weeks and all but said no to supporting the plebiscite. It's difficult to see how Bill Shorten can walk back the party's position. The government can't drop the public funding for the yes and no campaigns, given its explicit commitment to give each side $7.5 million. 730's been told one concession could be to reduce the amount of money the government's allocating both sides to $5 million each and set aside the other $5 million for mental health services. Labor says the bill should be self-executing, meaning if a majority of Australians vote yes in the plebiscite, the change becomes automatic, negating the need for Parliament to vote again. Yet some believe that would be open to a legal challenge.
The Coalition did not consult with Labor about the design of the plebiscite, and the decisions to include public funding for the yes and no campaigns, as well as the failure to make the bill self-executing, that's the term that's been used, have taken it further away from something Labor could easily support.
Mr Dreyfus will meet the Attorney-General on Monday to discuss what concessions can be made, if any, to get Labor's support. The party will formally decide its position in just over a fortnight. The week the government has flagged debate on the bill will begin in the Senate.
I think, if anything, there's been a hardening of opinion in the LGBTI community against the plebiscite, with very many people saying to me, we are prepared to wait for a vote in Parliament.
We haven't heard so far any good argument to support this plebiscite, and I'm still waiting for the first one.
Jesuit priest and lawyer Father Frank Brennan is a recent plebiscite convert and says the sooner the issue is resolved, the sooner the nation can move on.
The risk for the Labor Party in opposing a plebiscite will be that instead of the matter being resolved by February, that it will drag on in the public mind for the next year or two, and then we won't know until after the next election whether there is indeed to be a plebiscite, long delayed, and then it'll take some time before the Parliament actually votes. So the real question is it better to get this over and done with now, with certainty by February, or is it better to put it on the long finger in the hope of the Labor Party causing maximum embarrassment and political agitation for Malcolm Turnbull?
With the Greens against the plebiscite and a number of crossbenchers telegraphing they'll also vote no, the fate of the people's vote rests with the opposition. Some Labor MPs believe if the plebiscite bill fails, the government will revisit the issue and might allow a free vote in Parliament. That is wishful thinking. The Prime Minister and other frontbenchers have warned it's the plebiscite or nothing in this term. They also emphasised the Coalition has a mandate for the policy following the election. It's also a tad hypocritical of Labor, campaigning for a conscience vote for coalition MPs when the ALP has changed its own policy platform to forbid a conscience vote for its members beyond the next election.
This isn't an issue that belongs to any one party. So the important thing always is to take the party politics out of it and start working together. Whether our lesbian and gay friends and family should be allowed to get married shouldn't be a pawn in a political chess game. It should be something that should rise above party politics.
Same-sex marriage campaigner Tiernan Brady, who was pivotal in the successful Irish referendum, is growing frustrated by the political games.
I think whatever pathway is put in front of us, the important thing is that we find a way to marriage equality. There's no doubt, I think most lesbian and gay people would prefer this to be a free vote in Parliament or any form of vote in Parliament, but sometimes you don't get to pick the circumstances you're facing, and we're ready to face whatever those circumstances are. The terrible tragedy would be that if we can't find a way forward at a time when Australians are clearly in favour of marriage equality.